right, hello everybody. This is Pearlo Wisdom and Steel Flyers. We are live, coming to you live from
Live.
well, I'm in the Seattle apartment, as you can tell, upstairs today, not down in the basement. Hey everybody, welcome Devondra, Lauren. The gang is trickling in, and I watched a lot of hockey last night, boy. That was some good
Well,
games
there was
last
only
night.
two games to
I
watch.
know, but I watched it felt like I watched a lot of hockey. I watched every
Well,
minute
yeah,
of it. That's what I do
well if
like about having less games.
yeah, like if you watched the Carolina Nashville game, you felt like you watched a lot of hockey,
Yeah,
right? Because that game just like, really? Come on, somebody freaking score!
yeah. But Carolina got it figured out in the end there. Stall with the little baseball bat knocked down. Did he actually hit that though? I never did want to check that out.
What he did hit it out of the air
He
to
did. He
to
did.
go back to yeah. Soros hit the puck with his stick, and then Stahl hit it with his stick to go back the other way, and it just was too far out. It was just beyond what Soros could do to stop the puck.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like a bang bang play. Like he whacked it out with his stick, and Stahl whacked it right back in. Was like boop boop. Okay.
But the goal and I still don't think it's getting enough uh, talking about. That goal by Marty Nietzsche was insane. That was a unbelievable wraparound.
To tie it up. Oh yeah, that wow, that wraparound, that dude, that is what we call in the business sick, grotesque.
Oh my gosh.
That was dripping
Yeah.
with grease. Oh, that was dripping with it.
Not because
Oh,
not only did it was a wraparound, but the way he hooked it, like it was one of the most intentional wraparounds I'd ever seen. Like it looked like
that's a good way to put it.
you could you know what I mean? Like it's like he intended every movement of that wraparound. It was he had pre-planned what he was going to do. He had practiced that specific move over and over and over again. Um,
Duh.
to keep it on your blade, practically falling down and holding it in the exact place you need to make sure it doesn't go off your stick in the way he did it. Like I've seen wraparounds where they come in, they're standing around, but he was on his knees practically. Like it was an incredible goal. That he is. I've talked to him. Like he reminds me of. I've I said I love him for a while now, but he reminds me of almost like a better version, believe it or not, of Nikolai Ehlers. I think he could be that good.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you.
He's really incredible.
Man, I'm with you.
Mercer's in the house. We haven't seen Mercer for a while. Well, thanks for
Wow,
and
hey,
Weichel's
hey.
back. Weichel's back. Leafs could move on tomorrow. I think Leafs will move on tomorrow. But
Yes, I do too. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That game was painful to watch.
yeah,
That's why it looked like. That's why it felt like there was. That was why. If that's why it felt like there was a lot of hockey watched. Because if you watch the Nashville Carolina game, that one took forever,
yeah.
and then this one here was just so painful to watch. Like, oh my gosh, is it over yet?
Yeah, Montreal is doing. Yeah, you know what Nashville's doing is they're doing. You're gonna get mad at me again. Nashville is doing to Carolina what Tortorella did. His move of breaking up the uh, flow of the game as much as they possibly can against Carolina. Because if Carolina gets any flow going, they're done, right? So
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
icing things. They're taking as much time as they possibly can. They're slowing things down and taking them off their rhythm as much as they possibly can. And they
Whatever
did
you know,
so
whatever you got to
successful.
do to win.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I mean, come on, it's not rocket science here, folks. It really ain't. Whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
What? Do it. I mean, you got to do
Yeah,
it.
well, and that's what they have to do because man for man, they can't keep up to that Carolina team. If things are flowing, like Carolina will ruin you. But Carolina stayed patient. I wonder. There's there's got to be a way to combat that type of activity to a certain degree, but it seems difficult because the coaches that get their team bought into it when because to get your team bought into it, you have to have them buy into the fact that they're outskilled, right? So we have to win this by changing the flow and doing things that it's not. It kind of goes against what players want to do. Their instinct is to move the puck up, get moving, you know, keep the flow going. That's what we were brought up to do. And now you have somebody saying, like in between whistles, tie your skates, and slow everything down as much as you possibly can. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that for sure. I mean, it's here's the thing though. We looked at Montreal and we were like, well, wow, we can't believe they even made it. So they made it, and now they're playing against Toronto, and it's like you just ran into the wrong team here, folks, because Toronto is just going to be too much, and it doesn't really seem to matter what any coach does in Montreal. It doesn't matter. It's not getting them the wins. You drop a big old giant goose egg like that against Toronto when you're trying to be in the playoffs is not very conducive to you moving on.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, Montreal, I think, is trying. They just don't know what they don't have a plan. Montreal, there doesn't appear to be much of a plan there. They look lost. They look lost, and they're just
That's a good way to put it.
and they're somewhat getting away with it, but not really at the same time. Like it's, uh, I think Toronto could really pummel them a lot more than they did. Price kept them in to a certain degree, but um,
That's just it to a certain degree, and he hasn't even been. I mean, he's played well, okay, and he's really been the only real kind of bright spot for them, to be honest with you, because they brought in these kids to help produce offensively, and they haven't.
well, yeah. I mean, Toffoli's not even having that great of a
That's what I mean.
like.
And then they bring in Kakin and Yemi, they bring in Cole Caulfield and everything like that, and they're just, hey, I don't know.
They're kids. That's what we were saying before it started. I mean, you can't have a 20 and a 21-year-old kid in your lineup and expect to be doing much in the playoffs. I mean, as your number one centers, as a winger, okay, you might be able to get away with that, but I mean, you can't really hide the your young players as number one centers going up against the Matthews and you know
Exactly.
it's it's too much. I mean, they're doing great for what they are, for how old they are, but in a normal team, in a team that's built to be a contender, kids like that are not going to be playing those kind of minutes unless they have one center, and Stahl's not it. I mean, a big guy, a guy that can play the heavy minutes and stuff like that, and they don't have that. Uh,
No, they don't. Not in Montreal, not right now. And without having a plan, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, look, the, Kotkaniemi had experience from last year, which I thought was amazing. I thought he played excellent. He played really well.
Hmm.
I was quite impressed with him being young. I was a little disappointed with how Suzuki played last year, but he seems to have played a little bit
He
better.
was not.
He didn't have the best year.
Uh,
Yeah, he was in the same boat now that Cole Caulfield was in. He was a rookie and all that stuff then too. You know what I mean? So both of those guys are still young. Okay, so no matter how you slice it, the future does potentially look pretty good up there,
yeah.
all things considered. Because both of those guys, all three of those guys are young. So I mean,
Yeah, if they can, it's weird. It's just a weird way to build your team. I mean, you brought in guys like Toffoli and stuff now when you're not really ready to be rushing for a cup, you know. But and then acting like you are, you want to build around young players like that with some big centers, strong centers that can help those kids become better centers and all that stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
And
you want to put them in those positions, of
yeah,
course.
and going out and getting a guy like Stahl at this stage of his career isn't really helping all that much. Dano doesn't look like he's a guy that builds up young players all that much. Dano, from everything I've heard from him, is kind of a a lone wolf. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm with you.
next year, uh, next year, I think that's got to be the top of their list to get a number one a number one center or a center. I guess you're not going to get a number one; those aren't really easy to come by. But to get um, a reasonable center to play with those guys, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how much cap room they have and stuff like that. But if they have any chance with that lineup, that's got to happen. Like you said, though, give Kotkaniemi and Suzuki a couple years with the right center guiding them, and they could have a really strong team. But they're a ways away, as far as I'm concerned, right now. Lawrence talking about the way Nashville's playing. Yeah, they're playing. It's not even really a trap. They're playing very defensive type game against Carolina and trying to break up passes in the middle and keep them to the outside and all of those sort of things like that, which you can't do if Carolina's got a lot of flow going with them. It's sort of like what Vegas did with Minnesota the first two games. It took a while for Vegas to be able to anticipate what Minnesota was doing. And then once they got it, Minnesota really didn't have anything. I don't care if they won the last game; they had no business winning that game. And so Carolina, but that's Nashville has just realized they're not beating Carolina if they try to play a flow type game against them because Carolina will ruin you.
But it seems like Nashville is like just like are playing just good enough to hang around. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's more like Carolina is not playing good enough to put the stamp on it.
I think Carolina was just having a little bit of a time trying to figure out what way how they were going to get away around that
Yeah.
that they're almost like playing like they're on the penalty kill sometimes on 5 on 5, right? And
Yeah, I'm with
that's
you.
always tough to be able to. And then when you got Sorrow stopping everything on top of it, they're trying to force you to the outside because they know that Saros is going to stop pretty much anything from the outside that he can see right now, right? So Carolina's like, we can't keep on pummeling from back here. We got to find a way to get it
Because those
inside
are
somehow.
bad angles. I mean, you don't want to keep taking those bad angle shots like that, man, because those are usually low percentage shots. You know what I mean? That you take from down there below the dot. Unless you're right in tight or unless you're doing the wraparounds. You know what I mean? You want to get more of the higher percentage shots. You know what I mean? And get guys in front of the net and get Saros moving back and forth.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to do, and that's exactly what Nashville is trying not to have happen. And
Well, that's what.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're doing a good job of it by clogging it up in the
Yeah.
middle and stuff like that. But that can only last for so long. Yeah.
Right. See, that's what you're talking about. So that's what I wanted to get into there is the fact that that's how Nashville's playing. But you're saying it took Carolina a couple of games to figure out how to play that style or play against that style. I mean, look, it's one thing to play these teams on a regular basis during the regular season because you're not playing them back to back night in and night out for 7 games in a row. I mean, they were there towards the end. They were playing a couple of games back to get back to back, but for the most part, it wasn't a playoff series where the only team you're matching up against is that team every night until the end of the series.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So that's why I think even if this does go, it's like we talked about yesterday. Even if this does go to 7, I think that Nashville is just going to run out of home games.
Yeah, and I think that's just playing the way they're playing. You really got to get a lot of luck because sooner or later those pucks are gonna deflect a certain way or what have you. It's not a way you want to win a 7 game series. So, um, but it's been done before. Dallas won series is like that. When a goaltender is as hot as Saros is, you can get away
Yeah.
with it. But I think I really think Carolina come will come through in the end and be able to take it. It's better for the game if Carolina does that. You don't want that working too often. You don't want that working a lot, because you don't want teams doing that too much if you can help it, because it's not a pretty way to watch hockey, seeing a team do that all the time
No,
like that.
no, no, it's not. By the way, hello to everybody in the chat: Devondra, Joey, John, Kyle, Lauren. Who else we got in there? Welcome everybody.
Kyle,
Did I miss
yeah,
anybody?
Kyle Mercer, yeah,
Mercer, yeah,
Joey's there. Yeah,
Mercer.
he says
Joey's
he
there.
thinks Toronto may go deep this year. I'm still on the fence about their defense. I think they could be ripping Toronto a lot more or Montreal a lot more than they are. Um, uh, I'm if Winnipeg's playing, if Hellebuck's playing like he is, I'm almost going back to what I said in the middle of the year. I think that
Yeah,
Winnipeg has the type of team that can beat a team like Toronto. They've got what's Toronto got that now that Tavares is out, and that's the big thing here, right?
yeah,
Tavares
yeah,
being
yeah,
out. What has Toronto got to go up against that third and fourth line of Winnipeg? Winnipeg's third and fourth line are fantastic, and Toronto's is not. You know, uh, Lowry and Lowry especially, but Cop, those
yeah.
kind of guys down there is something that Toronto really doesn't have much to combat against. That they're gonna if they play against Winnipeg, they're almost going to be having the same problem that Carolina has. However, I think that Winnipeg is a far better team than Nashville. So yeah, I could.
Uh,
Uh, I think they
yeah.
are. Nashville doesn't have
Okay.
anybody like Lowry and
All
Kopp and
right.
stuff on their bottom. Ehlers.
Okay. All right. I'll buy that. I'll buy that Winnipeg is better than Nashville.
Mhm.
I'll buy that.
And I
Okay.
think they're a better playoff built
They have
team.
better
I
goalies.
think
They
they're.
have better
Oh,
goaltending
Saros has been pretty hot, but yeah, if you ask me, I'd still probably go with Hellebuck hot than Saros hot. So yeah,
all day long.
yeah, and they have a better playoff team. Let's look it up. Let's bring them up here.
As far as how they're playing in this playoffs or how they've played in recent playoffs.
I'm talking about the way they're built as a team for the playoffs. They're man to man. I like Winnipeg's team for the players they have for playoff style players than I do Toronto, especially on defense.
Okay.
Except I wouldn't say that I like Winnipeg's defense better than uh, Toronto's. I'd say it's about a wash. But on forward, absolutely. I just don't think Toronto's defense is. I think it's pretty overrated. If it's highly
When,
rated, I don't know who's high.
when I don't, yeah, I don't think it
Yeah,
is. It's not. They're
if anybody's rating their defense highly, I disagree. Let's put it that way.
yeah, their goals against it or and goals for is not very, and their differential is not all that lickety spit. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
look, you can look at numbers all you want, okay, but in reality, when it comes down to it, you got to put it out there on the ice.
Hmm.
Okay. And Winnipeg is just putting it out there on the ice more so than what Edmonton was. And that's just there's no two ways around that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked at the underlying stats, and Edmonton did a lot of good things, and they outpossessed them in a lot of ways and stuff like that.
And they
Um,
outshot them too, right? For the most part, they outshot them
yeah,
too.
Winnipeg was winning the war though, and I've mentioned this a lot when it comes to the playoffs. There's a reason why there always seems to be a team every year, and I bring up Dallas a lot last year, that seems to get outplayed and outshot a lot, but they win the war. It, it's they're winning in the trenches, and they're winning in confidence and belief. And it only takes a shot or two. And if a team is holding their stick tight, or if you've beaten them down enough that when it gets on their stick, they're shaky. And that's what I saw from Edmonton, from Winnipeg. Winnipeg was beating down their lower line, so they had to play McDavid and them a lot. And yeah, they outshot them, but by the time they got the puck to the net, when you have somebody like Hellebuck in net, they can't lift it the way they want. They can't. They don't put it to where they want. They rush their shots, and they're
Yeah.
tired already by the time they get there. And Hellebuck's like, I got this, you know. So that's that's what Winnipeg can do. That's the type of game that Winnipeg can play, and I think that they can do it more than they have the manpower to do that more than Toronto. Now Toronto could still come and win it. I mean, I'm not saying it's nowhere near a slam dunk. I just think if you think that Winnipeg's going to be a easy out, they're not. It's going to be a very difficult series, I think.
Well, it we're pretty sure it's going to be that. We're pretty sure, I mean, I guess all signs are pointing to that, especially after this last game here with Toronto just putting the stamp down on Montreal here and now going up 3 games, with Montreal being on elimination watch.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting because let me throw something at you now, okay? Because Boston has been sitting and Colorado's been sitting,
Hmm.
right? Do you think we're going to see second round start before the end of the first round is done? I mean, seeing as how we only have 2 more games left from Carolina and Nashville, that could be done by Friday, which I think it is. Right, the Pittsburgh Islanders thing is probably, I think the last game 7 is scheduled if needed Friday night, right? And I think it's the same thing with the Montreal. And although I think the Montreal and the Toronto or the Montreal and the Toronto series is going to go past Saturday. But I don't. But if they eliminate them in the next game, then that series is over. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So now you got Colorado sitting now for the last 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, however many. Same thing with Boston. Do you think those are going to be helpful or detrimental? Let's see. Let's ask you about Boston first. Do you think they'll be helpful or detrimental to Boston having some rest,
I think in
some
this,
days off?
I think in this Stanley Cup playoff way of things are going, and this year the way things are going, it seems pretty obvious that teams that have kind of been able to pace themselves and get a little rest seem to have an upper hand, just because of the type of season that it has. So I think I think it's they. I mean, it might be a little bit difficult to start, but I think in the long run, uh, yeah, Boston's going to have an advantage of being healthy going into whoever they play against, and I think it'll likely be the Islanders. Uh, I think they're going to have. I think they will have an advantage getting that rest. I just can't see how. I mean, to start off with, possibly the Islanders have that energy rolling and stuff like that. But once Boston gets going and they're healthier, and they're whatever, especially if they have a full roster and they're not banged up as much, and Tuukka Rask is getting up there too, right? So he comes in fresh. I think it's going to be a benefit for those teams to more this year than it would be in a regular year. I think.
So you feel that it's going to be a plus for both Colorado and for Boston. I agree. I think it's going to be a plus for both teams. I think it's going to give the opportunity for both teams to have a little bit of rest. And I also think it's going to give both teams a little bit of chance for some practice,
Yeah.
which has been seriously lacking this year.
Yeah.
And being able to go into the second round of the playoffs with a little bit more preparation. I mean, let's face it, they can prep for either Pittsburgh or the Islanders. It's a much better way to look at it than trying to prep for 8 teams or however many. You either going to prep for Pittsburgh or you're going to prep for the Islanders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, I think that makes it a little better for Boston. Same thing with Colorado. You know, I think they're either figuring on Vegas or Minnesota, either one, right? So I mean, they have some practice time where they can do some things and put some things in, and have that practice time that has been seriously lacking this year.
Yeah, the practice time is huge, and it's just been a tough, grinding year more than any other year.
Exactly. And a
So,
couple of days off away from the rink. I
mhm.
mean, I look, here's the thing. And we you talk about how you don't rest players and all that, but look, in this time during this set of games and during all this, with the way things have been going at such an accelerated pace, to get a day or two away from the freaking rink is probably golden to these guys. You know what I mean? To go spend a night in sleep in their own bed or whatever. You,
Yeah,
you know
change
what I
it
mean?
gives them a good positive energy for sure.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the other thing too. You do want to have to try to keep that pressure up, and you do want to try to continue on, especially if you're winning. Like like Boston, they came into the playoffs hot and they won. Washington came into the playoffs kind of sluggish and they didn't. Colorado came into the playoffs on fire, and St. Louis came in sluggish and they got housed. You see what I'm saying? So it all depends on what your momentum is going into the playoffs, is how you pretty much proceed in that first round,
Hmm. And
right?
a team like Boston, especially, it's not like they've all been there before. You know, like
Okay,
they know how to prepare for
exactly.
having some rest and stuff like that. Like
Exactly.
maybe
They have.
Colorado it might be a little bit more of an issue. I mean, especially if you're gonna, but Vegas will probably put it away here. Now we're gonna talk about that, but then they'll have some rest too, just not quite as much. But uh, I don't know. That one's going to be a little more difficult. I don't think it's going to affect Vegas as much to not have the rest. They just got a beastly team over there. But Boston, I think it's going to be a big advantage for them because, like I said, they know what to do to keep their self in check and focused. You don't win cups like they do without learning what to do in these situations. So, for sure.
That's going to bode well for Boston, and yeah, I'm with you on the Colorado thing too, because they're not quite as playoff experienced as Boston team is,
Hmm.
and but everything that I've seen pretty much coming out of Colorado this year has been excellent. So I have no doubts and no qualms about anything that's coming out of Colorado so far this year. And to be honest with you, it doesn't matter if Minnesota wins the series or if Vegas wins the series. Whoever Colorado is going to face is going to be some seriously good hockey.
The Leafs are going to stomp the Jets. Okay, we'll have to remember what we talked about. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be good hockey. It's going to be amazing hockey. That series is going to be absolutely on fire. I just love that. That's I haven't looked forward to a series so much that wasn't my own one of my
I,
own teams.
okay,
Is
yeah,
that one like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't really anticipated a series for this long. It's going to
yeah.
be so fascinating to see those two teams go against each other. It's great. And
I'm looking forward to that chess match too.
yeah, the Islanders versus Boston doesn't seem to have the same, you know, uh,
No, and even if it's Pittsburgh against,
yeah, or Pittsburgh, yeah,
it just doesn't have that same. It doesn't have that same snot. Like
yeah,
now I will say this though. Hey, I will say this though. Carolina versus anybody,
yeah.
whether it's Florida or Tampa Bay, has a lot of juice. Okay, because that right there, uh, even if it's Carolina versus Tampa Bay or Carolina versus Florida, either way, that to me that's must watch hockey right there.
Yeah, yeah, Carolina versus Florida or Tampa. That's going to be a barn burner series for sure. That'll be. I hope that
That's a Hertzer series right there, man.
I
Talk about hitting.
I think Carolina will destroy Tampa Bay. Here you said it. I do. I think Carolina will. Now, if it's Florida, that's a little different. I still think Florida's going to come back and win the series as long as they keep on going with the kid. I
Okay,
think they're going to
if
come
they
back and
keep
win
going with
this.
Spencer Knight, then I agree. And that's why I kind of picked Florida hoping that they would because I didn't and I also overlooked Tampa Bay big time.
Yeah,
Okay, I really thought there was going to be some rust and some issues with Stamkos missing as many games as he did, and Kucherov coming back after missing the entire season, and things of that nature. And Vasilevsky, let's face it, has let in a lot of goals. Okay,
yeah.
he's played well, but he's let in a lot of goals.
Their
Uh,
defense has played poor,
that's what I
which
mean.
was very surprising.
Okay, right. So you're on the same page then. Okay, so that's where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But nothing excites me more. And you're right. Looking forward to these next round of games, with not having any fan vested interest in any of them.
yeah,
Just as a hockey fan. Just watching it as a hockey fan, and it's like, wow,
yeah. No,
this is exciting
it's
stuff.
gonna be
It
great stuff.
is. It is. And
Okay,
even the hockey that we've been watching now, the games that we're watching, even these first round games.
they've been
I mean,
fantastic. Yeah,
almost every series has had at least one overtime game.
yeah, yeah. It's been
Some of them have, some of them, every one of their games are overtime games.
it has been awesome hockey. All right, we should probably get to those games tonight. We've been talking about the series already. I mean, we'll kind of skirt over anything we've already talked about. But first, okay, we got to look at last night's games first. We'll look at those
Okay,
first. Let's look at
so
those.
last night,
So
what?
Maple Leafs versus the Canadians. We did not much. Like we said, we said almost everything there is to say about this game. The Canadians just look. Okay, let's look at how many mistakes the Montreal Canadiens made in this season. First of all, just
Wait, it would be a much shorter list to mention the things they did well. Let's do that.
okay. Well, the
I'm
right
just
from the
I'm just
beginning,
messing.
I was just very questionable about making the moves that they did, getting
In the
like
off season.
in the off season in a season like this where you're like you said we've mentioned before you're not going to have practice time and they added a whole bunch of players that didn't know each other at all like it's not like they added players that used to play with each other, somebody that
In
knows this
juniors or whatever.
or used to play for Montreal or whatever, something. Like Toffoli was so far away from anything. He hadn't even played in the East before. You know,
Right.
he played in the West all his whole career with LA and Vancouver, and and the East is a totally different game. And then
Yep.
Anderson, he did play in the East, but he hadn't played in a year. So all of these guys are coming in as a grab bag bunch. So you got that. Then the one that really got me, where I was sort of like, I just can't see this working, was you fire your coach and bring in a new coach halfway through the year when there's no practice time available for a year.
And frankly, the coach you brought in is basically doing the same thing that the coach that was already there would probably be doing.
Just a different voice saying pretty much the same
It's the
thing.
same thing, right?
So
Now, Shea Weber did come out and say that it was probably a good thing that there was a coaching change, which okay, I guess
something in the
if
room or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, okay, so that's kind of all right. Well, I get you on that then. Okay, I feel you on that, but I agree, man. Like they just have made so many missteps, especially like we talked about it extensively during the off season, that all the moves that they made and then how difficult it was going to potentially be for them to do anything this year because of the fact that there was no practice, the fact that they had all these new players come in and all this stuff, and you know what I mean. It was like, well, man, can Montreal really put it? And in the first 20 games of the season, it looked like everything was going okay. Like
Yeah.
they had won 12 games in regulation, and was flying high and playing well, and was like, well, all right. And then what? You fire the coach?
They were
Really?
they were rolling off energy, right? Like the energy of all the newness and all that kind of stuff like that.
So the new car smell wore off.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, let's face it. I mean, it seems obvious, and I don't know this to be true, but it seems obvious that the room problems revolve around uh, price. It just seems like they change. They're doing everything to try to appease price. They fired the coaching. They didn't just fire the coach. They fired the goalie coach. They fired. Uh, they changed the goalie coaches. They went out and got defensemen for Price. They went out and got a backup for Price. They went and got everything for Price, and Price never really lit it up. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it's the coach's problem. How long is this going to go before maybe everything has changed and it's still the same problem because Price
Still
is
have
the
the same
problem?
players.
Price is the problem.
It
I don't know what
sounds.
happened to him, but
Does this sound like a broken record for another team?
yeah, I guess.
When you constantly change over the coaching staff, right? And yet you still have the same problems. Well, pretty soon you have to start changing the players because those guys are obviously the problem.
Well, they did change the players too. That's the thing.
Yeah, but okay, that's the other thing. Now you got this room full of new players and a new coach
Yeah,
and no practice time and
yeah,
potentially the issue of a goaltender being an issue in the locker room.
yeah. I think it's a goaltender. I'm just guessing. I don't know anything
I mean,
about
we
that.
don't
They
know,
did a
but
good job keeping it pretty much under wraps, whatever the issue was. But Julian was on. There was something going on where Julian wasn't going to bend, and I
that
don't know
had to
what
be
that
the
was.
issue. That's right. And so, look, I look at Carey Price as a first ballot Hall of Fame goalie
Hmm.
without question. There's been there his game and everything about him is all about integrity and how well he plays. So I have nothing against Carey Price, and if any of these things are true, well, okay, but I don't know.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that if if players come out and say that the coach was the issue, okay, you bring a new coach in. The new coach seems to be doing some of the same things that the previous coach was doing, but
But
I'm not seeing any different results.
somehow he solved the room issue. I don't know what that was. Like I said, I don't know. It might have been a situation where that's really what it comes down to here is what was the room issue, how was it solved, and how and I mean they probably solved the issue where it wasn't a disruption in the on the team, but maybe the way they stopped the disruption didn't stop the problem, and
Yeah.
that's whatever that was. I don't know. So, anyways, no, it was 4-0 Leafs. Uh, I had 4-1. I was the closest. Steele, you had 4-2. Bill T had 3-2.
Wow.
Devondra had 3-2 Habs. Implicit had 4-2 Habs. And Serrano had 3-2 Habs. So a lot of Habs guys there. I kind of get that because you just think that that's a spot where the Habs should have it, but I just don't think Habs have enough to have it ever. Uh,
That's a
I
good way to put it.
yeah.
So, how do you feel about them? I just don't think they're going to have it ever.
No, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, this should be a good spot because Toronto. It's just that play one that time where you really need it right there, and teams generally are able to overcome and have a little more determination because of it. And I just don't think Montreal has the plan, the system, the anything to be able to beat Toronto in too many games right now. Maybe out of 10 games they might win two. Uh, Bruce
and
Cassidy
they and,
tried.
and and quite frankly, they need to win two in a row. Now they need to win the next two games in a
Yeah,
row
it's
here.
just not going to happen.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. I just don't think that's going to happen. And there you have it. I mean, look, it's been Toronto's It's been Toronto's basically division to lose since the beginning. I mean, since the beginning of the season, they have been the leaders of the division, and they haven't looked back since the very beginning. They never even were not the lead of the division at one point time this year, right? So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
when you're that much more far ahead than the next team below you, oh well.
yeah. There. It's gonna. We got the good thing news for Montreal is they got one more year for Kokaniemi and Suzuki to get older, and they're probably going to grow and be better, and that team will be better because of it. But really, it comes down to the growth of those two right now, for where that team goes. What they've got around them now isn't going to improve things until those two things improve, and if they can find the magical elixir as to why how you get price going. I would be looking. I wouldn't be going back to this coach next year for sure. So I would be looking for coaches that are proven to do well to improve goaltenders. And I don't know what's out there right now that that's the case. And not only that, unfortunately, in Montreal, for some reason, they got to be French Canadian too.
Well, I guess. I mean, I guess that's what it has to be.
Well,
All
look, they
right.
have they ever hired anyone that didn't? I mean, no, everybody. It's obvious that they say it over and over time that they're not. They'll take somebody who's not French Canadian, but they never do. So they always has to be. And I don't know who's out there that's going to be able to do all that. They limit themselves quite a bit.
You know, and
I don't think Swayman. The question that unless Rask gets injured, they'll be going with Rask every game, almost for sure, no doubt about it. Swayman will get his chance, all right, that's for sure.
yeah, I don't foresee Rask unless there's a drastic issue or something where or anything like that. I just think that, but you know what though? I'll tell you what. To be honest with you, um, if Rask does have to step away for a game or more, like I ain't even sweating it. Like I would still not pick Boston over any team just because Swayman was in.
Yeah,
In fact, I would still consider Boston the favorite even with Swayman in.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's understand. I mean, it's always a risk having a rookie, no matter how good he is. You know, but Swayman lit her up pretty good. I'd be pretty confident with them for sure. But
That's what I mean.
just like I am with
Spencer Knight.
Spencer Knight. I would even say I'm more confident with Spencer Knight. I'm watching the both goaltenders. I like Swayman a lot. I think he's like athletically, he's as good, if not better. But there's something about the mental state of the Spencer Knight kid that just floors me. Like he's way beyond his years.
Yeah, okay, all right. I got you. I get what you're saying now because I'm thinking at it, I'm looking at it, and to be honest with you, Swayman has more NHL game experience now than Spencer Knight does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but now see, Spencer Knight has a playoff game experience, whereas Swayman does not have that.
Yeah.
And I agree. See, look, when you looked at the United States World Junior team this past year that won the gold, right? There was a lot of leadership on that team. Okay, I mean, all you have to do is look at Cam York. He was the captain, right? You look at Spencer Knight, who was also a leader on that team. Okay, and I agree. He is playing far and above his age level right now. You know what I mean? His maturity level is much higher. He's playing a much more mature game, and I'll tell you what, I agree. I would not have a problem picking Florida with Spencer Knight in goal at all, at all. In fact, we all know the writing on the wall is that he's the future down there. It's not going to be Bob. It's not going to be Drager. It's going to be
No.
the Spencer Knight.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you asked anybody in the organization, they would never say that out loud. I mean, what a disaster having Bobrovsky there at 10 million and having the problems that they're having with him. Like that's
Exactly, and they're on the hook for him for what, another 5 more years? Whew.
more than that, I think. I think this is only his second or third year of that contract. It was a 10 year, 10.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you can't
oh.
buy it out. I've been talking to Florida Panthers fans in Facebook and stuff like that, and they're saying they were talking about Drigger's an unrestricted free agent. We should try to re-sign him. Why would Drigger resign there? You got, yeah, Bob Roski's not going anywhere. You can't get rid of him. Oh, we'll buy him out. Well, look at what the buyout on that is it's ridiculous. Like, there has to be a way to get that guy going somehow, at least to be an effective 1B. I don't know what it is or what happened to that guy, but
Do you know what? You know, it would be really sickly stupid. Does he have a no movement clause? Does
oh
Bob
yeah,
have?
oh yeah, he's got the whole thing. He's got everything. He's got
All right.
everything. And I
Oh,
think he's was somewhere in Columbus there. Somewhere along the way, he started to think he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I think it's an attitude issue, and it doesn't seem to go away. One of the reasons why I say that is the way Quinville talks about him. Quinville almost talks about him like I'm exasperated with this guy. He still thinks he's good even when he's not, and he's still blaming his defensemen. They went and changed the defense. They brought in different defensemen. They brought in Gudis. They don't play like they played last year. They're playing a solid defensive game. I'm
they're
not.
blocking shots. They're,
Yeah. Would I say they're playing great defensively? No, but are they playing well enough that a goaltender like say Vasilevsky or somebody like that that is really good right now could win them games, or Hollebuck for instance, or
Well,
somebody
let's
like
put it
that?
to you like this. Florida is
Absolutely.
playing better defensively in front of Bob than any team that he was ever associated with in Columbus.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. I mean, let's face. We talked about it when I talked about it when it happened. Like, let's see what he's going to do outside of Tortorella's system. He makes goaltenders look good, and it appears that he did. He made that. I mean, Corpusalo's not an NHL goaltender. Not even if he was in most teams, he would have been out of the league a long time ago. And he actually looked like a good goaltender for a while there. So more money, more problems. Yeah, especially if a guy has got it in his head, he starts believing the noise that he's this great and he's like puts himself above the team, and then somebody goes and gives him that kind of a contract on top of it. It's really hard to get him to look in the mirror and say that the way he thinks about himself is wrong. It makes it a lot more difficult. So
Well, especially when you go cash a, $1.2 million game check or something crazy, whatever he's making whatever his game checks are. When I guess when you go to the bank with that check, I guess it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. I guess it matters with what Florida thinks, and they think that he's worth $10 million a year.
yeah, he was two-time Vezina Trophy winner, and all those sort of things like that. And they were having serious goaltending issues, and I think the owners and management just kind of went over. We've seen it happen before. You just overreact and give a guy more money than a guy like that. You really want to give him a $10 million three. Wonder if anybody else was out there offering him that contract too. That would be interesting to find out if there was anybody
Oh,
offering
to
like
see if anybody else was offering him the same
how
kind of
how
deal
much
somewhere else.
competition was that for that? I'd like to know that. That would be interesting.
Do you know what I think though, to be honest with you? I don't think there was really. I think
Man,
that was probably the first offer that came across the board there for him from Florida, and he was like, "All right,
that would be cray cray if that was the case.
okay."
Anyways,
But think about what they did though. They went in it with um such a ridiculous offer
mhm.
that there was no way that Bob could turn that down.
No,
Like it
I
didn't
don't.
really.
Well,
So it
of
didn't really
course.
matter
You're
It
not
didn't
going to
really
turn it
matter if
down.
any other team offered him any other money. Florida came out and just said, "Look, man, you're coming to play for Florida, and we'll pay you $10 million a year."
I
All
wonder if
right.
I wonder if there were teams out there that were offering 10 million for less, and then they just said we'll give you max, and that was the end of it or something. I just like to see. I can't imagine that there weren't teams offering a lot for them to do that. And if there weren't and they did that, then that is really ridiculous. I don't know, but we
Well,
don't
all
we
you
don't
have to
really know
do,
that.
but all you have to do is look at the goaltenders that are quote unquote at that level, that have won Vesnas and have that kind of level of goaltending, and what kind of money are they making per year? Anywhere between $6 and $8 million a year. So I mean, I when you look at something like that, and then you look at somebody like Bob with his resume, do you know what I'm saying? You can't look at that and go, yeah, he's only worth $5 million a year. Are you kidding? That would be a steal if you could get him for that.
Yeah, I think I don't even mind the 10 million. It was the 8 years. Like
That's the
I
issue.
wouldn't have touched that. No, I wouldn't have touched that. No way. No way would I have touched that. And if you look at other guys, and now because of it, like all the other goaltenders in the league now are like, well, crap. Because nobody's going to give any goaltender that kind of money ever again. Unlikely. Unlikely.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
know.
not going to happen anymore now, and especially with the way the cap is for the next 2 years. Now, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I also think this is going to be part of this whole trickle down thing. After the flat cap thing goes away, I think you're going to see a major increase in the cap space, and then I think you're going to start seeing contracts get bigger and higher again because of the TV money now has become much more prevalent for the NHL than it ever has been. In fact, they doubled their entire TV money with this next set of contracts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll see it starting to go up, which is good for the game. We definitely need a higher cap, no doubt about that. Anyways, we haven't. What did we get? We had? Well, the Nashville Carolina game we went into a lot, but we'll get to that. Galchenyuk. It was nice to see Galchenyuk potting some points there for Toronto. I don't know. He's the guy you want to root for. Um, he's
Uh-oh. You have the
he.
background up. Yeah, the background changed.
Oh no no no. Oh, okay, I forgot to shut my windows.
That's
I forgot to shut my windows off.
okay. That's okay. It's all good, my man. But yeah, it was funny. I was sitting there watching the breakdown, and I said, "Oh wow, that's Galchenyuk scoring." And right as I said that, the announcer was like, "Yay, Galchenyuk!" And I'm like, "All right, I guess I'm a little faster than the announcer, but that's okay." Yeah, good to see him get some points. That was an all-around good game for Toronto. They looked good.
Oh yeah, it's weird. Toronto's kind of playing like they're trying to figure out somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. So, like you know what I mean? Like it's almost like you and I are both poker players, right? It's a lot harder to play against people that don't know how to play, right?
Yeah, because you can't read them.
Yeah, because you don't know what they're gonna do. Are they gonna? Are they like you got? It takes a while to figure out their chasers or whatever the case may be, right? Like you don't
Yeah.
really know, and then you think they're chasing, but actually they have something, but it's not very good. But they're calling you even though because they think it's good, and you're trying to figure out which one of those things it is. I think that's it's in a weird way. I think that's what's happening with Toronto and
That's a great way
Montreal.
to describe that, man. Because if you play poker enough, that the best way to win is to learn how the other players play.
Exactly.
You're not necessarily playing the cards. You're playing position and you're playing the other players.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter what cards you have in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice if you have them nice cards,
Okay, it makes it
but
easier to win when you have the cards,
yeah,
but
but it's
as
not
as long
necessary.
as you have the stack
Yeah.
and the cajoles,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You
But I'm
have to
with
have
you.
a healthy dose of I don't care and a healthy dose because you can't have too much of that either. And
Right.
uh, and uh, And that's kind of where I think Toronto is. It's like they're trying stuff, and Montreal's like, oh, are they dumping Chase in here? Or are they playing a trap? What the heck are they doing?
Yeah, I
So
don't know.
and
Yeah,
it,
and
and
they
it,
don't
it
know either.
it's actually kind of messed them up a little bit because they don't know exactly what exactly Montreal's going to do because Montreal doesn't know what they're doing. That's what I.
Exactly.
That's why the game was so hard to watch yesterday because they're being cautious to make sure they don't do something like do something that puts the puck on the Montreal stick because they don't know exactly where they're going to be. Anyways,
Exactly.
that's what I got from that. The Hurricanes versus the Nashville Predators, and this is like a different sort of thing here. If we want to keep on with the poker analogy, the Predators are playing tight. Like you know what the Predators are doing, right? It's it's a case of being able to extract from the Nashville to get them out of their positions so you're able to be able to move a little bit down low
Yeah.
or be able to get people in position in front of the net to be able to do some tips and stuff like that. And Nashville was doing a really good job of just protecting that neutral zone, which is the easiest thing to do in hockey.
Exactly. But that's partially what Carolina's game is. So just a quick update. Speaking of hurricanes, we've suddenly got quite the hurricane force gales going here, where I'm at right now, and it's raining pretty hard. So
Oh,
if I suddenly go away, it's because my electricity went out because we now suddenly have thunderstorm watch in our area. So just let you know that there's a possibility that I may or may not be here after the break.
yeah. Toronto needs a painting of David Ars. Yeah, that'll go down in the. That was like one of the worst things ever. And yeah, when David Ars, yeah, that's true. That did you? I hope they did watch the tape for that. And if you do have to run out, I guess we'll have to just deal with that.
Yeah.
Have a
But
storm.
but the Hurricanes though, you're right. I think Nashville's playing tight. They're holding on to their cards, thinking they got something good, and they're playing the steady game, right? So
Yeah.
they're just waiting for the big blind to come back around.
Yep.
So you know what I mean?
Maybe every once in a while they catch you on a raise that they know that you're out of position on, and they'll re-raise you with like a weak ace just because they know they can pull your raise off you and stuff like that. That's really what they're doing. They're counter punching
They're
with
fishing for
Carolina.
money.
They're
Yeah,
looking for Carolina to make a mistake in the neutral zone, and they're trying to force mistakes and stuff like that. And you can win like that. You can win it if you're overmatched. That's the only way to really play.
but see,
And
that's the problem because they're not overmatched, and Carolina is, I think, a more of an overmatch for them than Nashville.
well, that's what I mean. They know they're overmatched with Carolina on paper. They know that in Nashville. That's why they're playing like that because on
Yeah,
paper Carolina's going to crush them. No, if you just look man for man on their like
yeah,
Nashville can't do anything to
yeah. I'm with
defend
you. Yeah,
defend
yeah, yeah.
guys like Svechnikov, Aho, Nietzsche, like the sickness. Nashville doesn't have anybody that's going to do that Nietzsche move.
No,
Nobody. Duchesne's
no.
supposed to be, but as soon as he gets to the point where he might stub his toe, he's off in the corner somewhere. You know that. Those sort of things like that. Marty Nietzsche is not only a great skilled player, he goes into areas where he puts his body at risk. Like he is. I just love him. I love that guy. I love the way they built this team. I hope Nedeljkovic can hold out. I have him making the finals. I put a lot of faith in that Nedeljkovic kid. We'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm with you. I really too really like how Niederreiter has played.
Hmm.
Okay, and then with Slavin in finally getting back in.
Yeah,
Okay, that was a huge boost for Carolina.
enormous. And I don't think he's fully healthy, but
No, he's not fully healthy, but he did get an assist,
yeah,
right? And he had two hits and a block shot.
yeah, absolute beast. Beast. They got to give him at least one Norris, Gary, Mr. Bettman out there. I know you're watching. I
That's
know you.
right.
I know you're watching. Gotta give Slavin one Norris. If there's anything right in this world, Slavin has got to get a Norris.
You know what else?
He's better defensively than the only one I would say that's better defensively than, and I could be wrong there, off the top of my head, is Hedman. I don't think there's anybody better in the league defensively than Slavin besides Hedman.
That's some pretty high. That's some pretty high praise there.
And the only reason why I put Hedman there is because he's so big. He has so many advantages because of his size. But as far as intelligence and perfectly playing everything, he reminds me of. I know this is high praise too. He reminds me of Lidstrom back in the day. Like the
Oh
guy
wow.
never makes a mistake,
Yeah.
ever. It's incredible to watch. I love watching that guy. I guess Lauren's going to be sitting here through the whole podcast as I gloat over the Carolina Hurricanes. Uh,
Well, how can you not? I'm all for gloating over the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm all for that. I mean,
yeah,
come on. I
great.
have them. I have
One
them
of,
going
if
to the
not the
finals.
one if not the best coach in the league, one of
Yep.
the best defensive defensemen in the league, underrated defenseman all around with Pesci, Brady Shea. Brady Shea might be the most underrated defenseman in the league this year. Uh,
I
wow. Okay, Lauren's going over now. He's saying he's better than Hedman defensively. I'm not so sure about that, but
well,
that's
he is younger.
he's younger than Hedman. Yeah, yeah. But when Hedman is fully healthy, like nothing gets by that guy. He is, and the amount of ice that he is able to make up. Like you ever see it when Tampa Bay won last year, and you think the guy's on a complete breakaway, and then all of a sudden, you didn't even see Hedman in the shot, and all of a where the heck
Suddenly
did
there
he
he
come
is.
from?
Hey, how you doing?
He is amazing, amazing defenseman. He's up there with the Lidstroms and those guys. It's going to go
Oh
down as
yeah.
the greatest of
Oh
all
yeah.
time defenseman for sure, no
Without a
doubt
doubt.
about it. Well, we're at that time now. We didn't look at okay, the Canes. What we had the Canes won 3-2.
Yep. In overtime.
I had it. Oops, I didn't have OT though. 3-2
Okay.
though. Had the score. You had
Okay.
4-3. Devondre had 3-2, but the Preds. Hitlian had 3-1, and Serrano had 4-3. So we'll come back and we're going to do the games for tomorrow. We'll take the picks for that. I guess
You mean for
well,
tonight?
for tonight, I mean tomorrow. Tonight. Feels like, yeah, for tonight. And so, yeah, let's get all of our, get your, I know they're all probably waiting, all your doggies, to watch this fine programming here. We're going to take a bit of a break and we'll be back in a little bit. Um, and we'll be talking about the games. We'll do picks. We'll be talking with you guys. Tell us what you think. Who's going to win? Give us your takes on think. Tell us if you think we're crazy. All of that. We're big boys
Well,
here. I don't
well,
really
we are
mind if we got.
crazy.
Yeah,
We are crazy.
we're big boys here. You can tell us if you disagree with us. In fact, I love it. That's the sort of thing I like.
Exactly.
I
But I love the questions, though. So thank you all very much. Keep them coming. Really appreciate our sponsors, www.cccresorts.com. Check them out on the web. Also, check them out on Facebook. The outdoor pool is open now, so you can get some pool time scheduled for that. They
Sweet.
also do parties. So, like, if you wanted to do like a corporate gig or something like that, and you bring your company down there with everybody and their dogs, they would do that as well for you. So check them out. Very appreciate all the support that they give and everything from CCC Resorts.
They should have us. They should start doing a human thing like this, like a spouse drop. Get my wife to drop me down there. That sounds like fun. Why does it always have to be dogs get all the fun?
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Well,
Hey,
because
because they're dogs and they're awesome.
that's right. That's right. Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. Everybody, welcome back.
Now we're back.
All right, how's everybody?
Yeah, we are back. Okay, so we're gonna look at the games tonight, and let's talk about whatever comes up. You guys have always bring up some great topics to talk about. We
I'll say.
never have to worry about topics.
No, don't ever have to worry about that. But one thing I do want to talk about is there's a couple of games tonight that one for one I'm looking forward to specifically at least one, if not all three, but more specifically one particular matchup that I am looking forward to, and that, my friends, is the Florida Tampa Bay series.
Yeah, the Florida Tampa Bay series is going to be awesome. Somebody brought up that Tim Peel got fired. Was Tim Peel reffing in the playoffs?
No, wasn't he? He was the one that they
Yeah.
suspended.
Yeah. So why? What do you mean he got fired? He was retiring at the end of the year.
Well, no,
Anyways.
because they suspended him. They didn't fire him initially. They only suspended him. Hey, I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Uh,
Wonder
He
wonder how that works now. I guess it only matters if it affects his pension plan and all that kind of stuff like
Which it
that.
probably does. Which it probably does. If you're fired before you retire, I guess that's going to affect your pension. I guess I don't. I have no idea,
I
man.
think he got fired back then, didn't he? Is that what they're talking
No, he
about?
just got suspended,
That's weird.
a leave of
I
absence
don't
or
think it's
whatever.
going to affect his pension plan if he got fired. You still did, as part of the contract, you still did. If it would affect it if, like, say, he had already, if it was like 5 years into his tenure and he got fired, he would only get 5 years of his pension. But he was pretty much over. Like, he's been doing it for 25, 30 years. Whatever he did up to the point he got fired, unless they say he breached his contract or something like that. But I'm not hearing
Well,
anything about that.
okay. Well, there you go. But so getting back to the Florida Tampa Bay series, this is elimination time here for Florida. Again, they staved off elimination the last game by putting Spencer Knight in, and he was able to come in and play extremely well and help the Florida Panthers win the game.
Mm-hmm.
The series is now 3-2. Tampa Bay could still potentially win. Uh, we know that Kucherov and Sergachev played a little bit hurt in the last game. They weren't 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are they going to be 100% in this game? If that's going to be the case, it's going to be it's a tough road to hoe here for Florida. I have Florida picked to win this series, but I just don't. They Well, I guess that's probably not going to happen. I mean, Spencer Knight has been playing phenomenal. I have all the confidence in the world in him, but you're going up against the defending champs from last year who just seem to get better as time goes on, no matter who's in the lineup. So I guess I've learned my lesson now. I'm done picking against Tampa Bay.
So you're taking. Is it? Is it in Florida tonight? Shoot, I might need to get a pen.
Oh, let's see here. Well, see, here's the thing that nobody is really realizing is that Florida is the higher seed,
Right. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So Florida does have the remaining has two remaining home games,
Right.
right? So game 5 is Florida, then game 6 is in Tampa Bay, and then game 7 is in Florida.
Yeah.
So this game tonight is going to be in Florida.
Yes. Okay.
All
So
right.
I
Let
I,
me rephrase that.
I think they
This is
win
going to
this
be
game.
in the Panthers arena. Because no matter what, if they play in Tampa Bay or
Yeah.
where they're both in Florida, so
I think they win tonight. I do.
you think Florida does?
Yep.
I would love to see Florida win tonight, and I'd love to see them kick Tampa Bay in the teeth and win despite the fact that they're Florida.
Spencer Knight is confirmed. So
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say 3-2 Florida overtime.
Mercer's
Oh,
gonna say 3-2 Tampa. Mercer
uh,
saying 3-2 Bolts in OT. No, 3-2 Bolts. Okay, and you're saying Steel 3-2 Florida.
in overtime.
3-2 Panthers in OT. Yeah, Spencer Knight is confirmed for tonight. CL is taking the Panthers 2-1. Wow, low scoring affair. I'm taking the Panthers for sure. So I'm gonna say 4-2 Panthers. I I've been saying it all season. I just have not liked the flow. Bill, which team is going to win, Bill? Oh, Panthers. Okay.
Yeah, I know
3-2
what you mean by
Panthers.
saying that because it seems like they have just kind of were a little bit tired of the regular season and they were just trying to get to the playoffs and now they're in the playoffs and it's like, all right. I mean, I get what you're saying, but maybe it's because they're so good and so smooth that it comes across like that. I don't know.
No, no, that's not what it is.
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm
They looked too often like a team that was going through the motions in the regular season, and
in the regular season, but that's different now. We're not in the regular
yeah.
season anymore.
But the problem is the Panthers. The only thing I was concerned about with the Panthers was were they going to be able to keep their warrior mode going? And I think the Panthers are in warrior mode, and I'm going to take the warrior team every time. Every time.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Now, with good goaltending, don't get me wrong. If they would have played Spencer Knight from the beginning, the series would have been over already.
I can't argue with that at all because I actually had Florida picked for this series.
Yeah.
Not for the reason that Spencer Knight was going to be in, but because I thought that Bob and Drager were going to be a better tandem than Vasilevsky and whoever else.
Oh, hold up. Oh, we'll talk about that next. Bill T says Robin Lehner is going to be in net tonight. We'll get to that when we get to that game. Oh, boy.
That's the
Uh,
next series that we're going to talk about.
yeah,
Yeah, boy.
Florida was a higher seed tonight. The game is in Tampa. The game is in Tampa. Okay, the game is in Tampa. I kind of thought that. The game is in Tampa because this is game 6, and then it'll be in
Oh,
Florida.
that's right.
It'll be
Okay,
in
so
it'll be in the other. It'll be in the Panthers rink. So
right.
I
Okay,
still say
okay.
they win it. I still say they win it. I still say they
Yeah.
win it. If
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm still picking this. I'm still having the same pick. Yeah, I got you now. I made the mistake there. I thought that this was going to be game 5, not game 6, which this is game 6, so that means Tampa Bay is playing they're playing at Tampa Bay, and then game 7 will be in Florida. So
yeah,
I still think that, although I really like what Tampa Bay has done as far as being able to come out and play as well as they've played this for this series. But I'm really rooting for Tampa or for Florida.
yeah.
I just want to see Florida take care of business.
There's a
I
lot
want
of. I
to.
mean, they're the team that hasn't really ever did it, so they're kind of the underdog team that everybody kind of roots for, right?
Florida is my sleeper team this year. Last year, my sleeper teams were Dallas and Colorado. I don't have them as a sleeper team this year, obviously, but my sleeper team was Florida. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm rooting for Florida on this.
And do we have any? I think that's the thing. They don't really have injuries, but Tampa's got a lot of guys that are injured. And
That's true, and that's the other thing that we even talked about this yesterday too, or the other day where Kucherov and Sergachev were not playing at 100%.
yeah, how much? So where is the issue? It's um, Killorn was having a good season earlier on, but he's fairly inconsistent. Um, the lower lines aren't doing what they did last year as much either with Maroon and Coleman and Gord and it's and I think it's just too much to ask. They won the cup last year. They don't have their normal time off in the summer. They were when they were trying to pace themselves. The pace that they were going on to me seemed like I don't know if this team's going to be able to do it. It's not really that they're a bad team or they need to, anything like that. It's just, it's a lot to ask. And Dallas, too. Dallas did very well considering they did make the finals last year. But it was just a terrible, it was a very difficult season to go play after and have a short break after winning the cup and not really having a lot of rest. So
Well, that was one of the other things that I was kind of taking into consideration when I picked Florida. But by leading the series 3-2, they have kind of seems to have proven me a little bit wrong here. Now, here's the other thing too. Their Tampa Bay's goaltending has been really excellent this year, but
mm-hmm.
Vasilevsky has left in a lot of goals in
yeah.
this playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he has not been his Vezina winning trophy self that we think he probably is going to win the Vezina this year or is least in the conversation for that particular trophy, but he has not looked that good in these playoffs as well, too.
Yeah, and that again, that's a lot of games played. He didn't really have much of a backup this year, to say the least. And it's starting to wear down. Now I'm talking like it's already over, and you're right. Tampa Bay's up 3-2, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it. But they could put it away tonight. I just don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. And them being at home too, Tampa Bay being at home, I just don't not with Spencer Knight, man. I just
It's tough.
hard to hard to go against him. Really just tough.
It's a testament to how good of a team Tampa Bay has that
Yeah.
this is a coin flip right now. But it's because we'll see, we'll see. Anyways, we'll get on to the next series here that a lot of people have been talking about in the chat, and
Is it the Pittsburgh series or the Vegas
we got
series?
two more. We got two more. So let's
Right.
go to the Pittsburgh Islanders. We'll talk about the Vegas one after.
Okay,
Uh,
because the Pittsburgh one is actually coming on at 6:30, so that's going to be not too far off from now.
yeah, it's coming on soon. I'm not going to be able to watch it right off. I'm not going to be able to watch much of it actually. I have
Oh, okay.
because I got my I got to take Caroline somewhere after work or something like that. So, but it hasn't. When the Islanders are winning, it's not fun to watch,
No.
and that's the way it's always been. And that's
What else can you say about that? I mean, look, I said this before and I'll say it again. Pittsburgh needs to have their big guns step up, and they necessarily have not had their big guns step up. Sidney Crosby has not been that much of a factor. Malkin, I know, missed the first game or two, but he hasn't been that much of a factor. Jeff Carter, on the other hand, has been a factor. You know what I mean? Jari just, or Yari, however you say his name, just doesn't give me warm fuzzies.
it's Jari. Yeah, he's not from Europe, so we say the J, and he's not Mexican. So
Okay, so
yeah,
Jari is not doesn't give me the warm fuzzies in net for
no,
Pittsburgh.
no, the opposite of that. Whatever the
Right.
opposite of that is, the cold,
Uh,
the
cold
cold,
hard concrete. I don't know. Cold hard steel spikes or something.
yeah,
I don't know.
the cold scratchies.
Yeah, the cold scratchies. There you go. As compared to warm and fuzzy, cold and scratchy. There you have it, folks. You heard it here first. It's not warm and fuzzies.
Gives
It's
me the
cold and
cold
scratchy.
scratchies. Yes, sir.
I
Uh,
love.
and Tristan Jari's unconfirmed so far. So, but
Well,
I
who
don't.
else are you gonna put in there?
Unless DeSmith is healthy and they do the surprise thing like
He's been
Washington
hurt.
Washington did, but
He was scratched the last game. He was hurt or her or whatever. He was scratched. Well, hey, like I said,
yeah, he's hurt. He was hurt, but you never know. They all of a
yeah.
sudden.
I get the cold scratchies when I think of Jari in net. And it doesn't matter if Sorokin is playing. I think Sorokin gives uh, the Islanders the best chance to finish out the series uh, tonight.
And by the way, Serrano, I got your Tampa Bay one there.
They are playing in Pittsburgh, right? Or no, they're playing in New York because Pittsburgh's the higher seed. This is Game 6, right?
He heard that Legacy may start. Oh my gosh! Well,
Yeah. So this is Game 6 tonight.
yeah.
And this game is in New York, and
Hmm.
then Game 7 will be in Pittsburgh. Honestly, I think New York can close it out tonight.
Well,
Playing in New York.
certainly if Legacy's in that, that's for sure.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
That's who they're putting in net
He's
for
not.
Pittsburgh.
If he is, which would mean that Jari's hurt, and yeah, because there's no way you're putting him in if Jari's healthy. There's no way. Like, Jari's not a good goaltender, but
He's your best option.
oh yeah, 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. Legacy's not
Which,
a good
which,
goaltender.
see, that's the scary part. If I was Pittsburgh and said, "Yeah, Tristan Jarry is your best option at goal,"
No,
I'd be on the phone with somebody going, "Hey, hey, can we get one of your goalies?" You know
yeah,
what I mean?
something's got
That's
to happen. David
that's
Ayers.
crazy.
Somebody brought up David Ayers. Bring out the magical Zamboni guy, I guess, or something. Uh,
I have not. I look. Pittsburgh came in on fire, playing well, winning games at the end. They won the division, but they just look like a different team against the Islanders for whatever reason. I mean, Carter has played well, okay, for the most part. You know what I mean? Kapanen's played well. Their defense has not played all that well, and their big guns, Sidney Crosby, Malkin, have not really stepped up. They're their 20 goal line with Rust and Gensel and Crosby haven't really produced.
well, the Islanders will do that to a team for sure, no doubt about that. Like that's how they win, right?
Exactly.
Wallstrom is good to go. Okay, he's going to be in, or is that what he's saying there? Good to go. Serrano has got 3-2.
I have to go Islanders on this, even though I had Pittsburgh playing Boston in the next round, but I don't really care
Yeah,
who. I don't
it
really
was a coin flip to me. I had no idea.
right
And
because I don't really care.
and it,
Frankly,
and
it's
if
going to be
I'm
the Islanders.
wrong, Meg put her voodoo on me anyway, so it's not even my fault.
uh, I, s- um, I like the Islanders to finish out this series tonight in New York.
Okay,
4-1. 4-1.
4-1. Yeah, four to
Yeah.
one Islanders. If Legacy's going to be in, I could see it being a high scoring game. And the way Pittsburgh's going to win is they got to turn it into a run and gun type game, which is hard to do against the Islanders. Mercer's taking the Islanders 2-1.
I maybe Bill, maybe.
What's Bill asking?
Yeah, if Nashville can push to game 7.
Well,
They're probably gonna, but they're
they're
just gonna run out of home games, I think.
they're at home. It's difficult, but I think that Carolina now will have their have a little more of a read on them now and have a game plan, especially with Brindamore there. He's one of the best X's and O's guys there is.
I'm with you.
And now let's Carolina's pretty much outplayed them almost every game. So
And let's face it, that they did kind of steal a goal away from them last night too. That was insane, man. That was a good goal that they took away.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'm with you on that.
yeah, I don't know how that happens now with all the angles and everything they got now in the NHL and everything. Like that shouldn't. That was the whole point that would never happen. That's why I said I would just like leave it up to the refs because there was that one bad play. I can't remember what it was. It was way offside, and that's the reason why they did all this, right? And but when that's the reason why they started doing all these replays and all that kind of stuff like that because they want to get it right. But okay, if that happens, you say, you know what, playoffs or referees are human. They're amazing at what they do, and it doesn't happen very often. Now, if it happens, the league looks absolutely stupid.
Yep, because now they're stopping the game. They're looking at things. I mean, hey man, I'm all for getting it right, and NHL referees are I have the utmost respect for them,
Hmm.
but um, you know, it would seem that it would be your responsibility as somebody that works in that field to be the best at that you can. You know what I mean? And so I would just like to see consistency, and I don't see that with the referees. So,
Bill T says he came to the conclusion that the Flyers head coach should be Jim Jackson.
yeah, I would hire Jim. I would hire him as an assistant coach. I'd have him take care of the power because I would definitely be the coach of the Flyers all day long. But yeah, I could see Jim as the coach of the Flyers. Yeah, I can see that. Speaking of Jim,
Mhm.
oh, Mr. Jackson has released his school.
Oh
His
yeah.
he has summer camps, right? So you can sign up for a summer camp with Jim Jackson to learn from Jim Jackson at a summer camp, designed to teach you how to do broadcasting and how to do play by play and all kinds of crazy stuff. You can check him out. It's oh gosh, here let me pull it up. Pull it up. It's JJ Broadcasting Coaching at gmail.com. Send him an email and get signed up for his class. Classes are running June 26th, July 10th, and August 14th. They're group settings. So you'll be in with amongst a bunch of other people, and you'll get to learn from the best. Play by play, show hosting, sideline reporting, anchoring, reporting, talk show hosting, radio or TV, and podcasting. So I had the distinct honor and privilege of being a student of Jim's, and this was amazing. So if you get an opportunity, man, check it out. It's JJ Broadcasting Coaching at Gmail. That's JJ Broadcasting Coaching at gmail.com. And you can check him out and sign up for those classes, man. It's really worth it.
Maybe Jack Edwards can take those classes on how not to be a homer.
Well, I mean, you work for Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, are you trying to say I'm a homer?
Yeah, I mean that's the. It's tough not to be. It's tough to do that. Every team has their different philosophies on what their commentators and play-by-play guys are like and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, in Edmonton they do pretty good while they're doing the thing to not. But I mean, the media here is ridiculously homer. Like they, in the sense that they're always trying to put a spin that everything is okay, which is okay to a certain extent, but it gets a little ridiculous. It gets a
You know
little
what?
ridiculous.
One thing I can say about Jim is that he is exactly like as you see him on the air, he's the same person off the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like his demeanor doesn't change, his voice inflections don't change. He's the same guy,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it amazing that he's the same guy, So definitely, if you get a chance, sign up for these classes, man. They are definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So all right, so we got Pittsburgh and New York Islanders, right? So now the last one is Vegas, Minnesota.
Yep. Vegas versus the Wild, and Devondra's already got one in there. Uh, I got your other ones, Devondra. 3-2 Wild. Wow, really, really, really. I don't know. I can't. The Wild just got spanked last game. It's
It's in Minnesota.
Now I know the score didn't. They didn't get spanked, but they got spanked.
It's in Minnesota.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
They just it's I just can't see. I can't see them winning. I mean, they're gonna have to play way better than they did last game, and it seems to me that Vegas has their systems down right now. I think if they were more experienced of a team and they were able to play a lot of
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
like okay, a good example of one going into this, like Minnesota is a really good example of when you go through a season and you see really good coaches and you're asking why do they keep on doing this, why do they keep on, why do they put those players together and these players together, and why do they change the lineups this way, and why are they playing this type of system here, and then this game that worked last time so it should work this time. The thing is though, you got to learn how to play several different systems in the playoffs because you're playing the same team for a certain series, right? So
Exactly.
if somebody like Vegas figures you out in one way, you got to be able to play a different way, and you got to be able to change up your lines. So in the regular season, lines get juggled and they look like head scratchers. Like, why are you doing this? Because they're preparing for the playoffs. And Minnesota has not been together with as a team long enough with this coach to be able to learn different ways to beat their opponent. And I, I, they could surprise me here tonight, but so far they're basically a one-trick pony, and Vegas figured out that trick. So, and they're a
Okay,
two
that
trick.
makes
They're
sense.
a two-trick pony. They have the system that can be killer, and like I said, it looks like they're the Harlem Globetrotters when somebody hasn't figured it out yet. But as soon as somebody figures it out, the only other trick they have is Talbot stops 40 shots and they win. That's
Right,
it.
right. And you can't do that every night. That's not going to be, that's not very conducive to being successful doing that every single night.
No, they can't.
You know what I mean?
And
You
that
can't do that.
and going back to Montreal, it's the same sort of thing where they were based. I think that's why they look so lost. Is they really only had one trick because they had a coach halfway through the year that didn't have an opportunity to put in different systems. So as soon as Toronto had it figured out, they're like, well, what are we going to do now? Well, let's try this. Well, we never tried that before. Well, that's all we got. So
Right?
yeah. John Tavares says hockey. The hot takes hockey says Tavares will be back. I can't see that. Are you serious? Yeah, that's the
I don't
thing.
know.
There's the one issue. If Lehner is in, I'm a little less confident because he has not looked good lately in the play in the going down the stretch. He did not look great. He didn't certainly didn't look as good as Flurry, but who does? But
Right?
Flurry had a bad game last game,
Yeah.
and I'd be interested to see what they're going. Hopefully, it's not because Flurry's injured. Maybe they figure they got a read on Flurry, so they're going to throw Lehner in just to change things up.
Maybe, that might be a good way to look at it too. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I plus I think that that's exactly the reason why I think he's coming in tonight is because they need to change it up a little bit so that they don't necessarily keep keying off of what's been going on with Flurry. You know what I mean? Because let's face it, when you get keyed in on a goalie, right, like they've been doing against Jari in Pittsburgh, like over his shoulder on the glove side, like almost every goal they've scored has been there. You know what I mean? So if maybe Minnesota has a read on Flurry, maybe they're putting Lehner in there to kind of break that.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah,
I don't know how you take care of that though. You know what I'm saying? It's like either way, it doesn't matter who's in net for Vegas. I mean, you still got, ultra high caliber goalies there no matter who's there.
yeah, but Lehner is and Lehner's not really the best guy for just coming in cold. He's kind of a guy that you want to have playing all the time. He's shown that over and over again. He had some problems with that on the island. When he was playing all the time, he crushes it. When you only play him every once in a while, he'll have some inconsistent nights. And hopefully that's not the case for them tonight. But yeah, because Fleury did let in 14 shots last game, right?
That's what I mean.
They only had 14 shots.
Right. So maybe it might be time to throw another goalie up there so that there's a little bit of a different situation going on.
Do I
I
think
mean, I don't know.
do I think Carey Price is the reason they suck? No, I don't think he's the reason. Uh, no, I think there's a whole list of reasons. There's lots of reasons to that. But um, yeah, I change it up. Yeah, maybe it works. I mean, he should stop more than 4 of 13 shots. So
You would think.
yeah, Yeah.
I mean, he has the bloody hardware to do it. So I mean, what? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I mean, it should be okay. I think they should still be okay. And Lehner can come in and just crush it too. I mean, when he's hot, like he's super hard to beat. He's like when he's at the top of his game, right? His size and speed, like he's up there. He's a fantastic goaltender, no doubt about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, but even at that, I just think Vegas, if they play the same as they did last game, and I can't see why they won't. I don't think they tax themselves out too much last game or anything like that. Uh, unless Minnesota does something to really blow my mind, like they got something in their back pocket I didn't know about. Like they were preparing some way of playing that they haven't shown yet, and they're just going to come out and start throwing stuff at Vegas, and they're like Vegas is going to be like, where did this come from?
Right.
Uh, I I I don't see Minnesota winning tonight. I don't know.
I don't either. Quite frankly, I don't either. I don't see them being able to do anything any different than what they've already done. I think they've played very well. They've given it their all. They won their two games. Okay, they punched the big dog in the mouth and drew a little blood, but I think all they did was just basically upset them. You know what I mean? Like when you think you can go up against the big dog and you punch him in the face and all it is a like, wow, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you're dead now.
yeah. It's sort of like, oh, so you're gonna do that? All right,
Yeah,
all
right.
right.
Yeah.
And Vegas is like that. They play like they're being challenged all the time. Like okay, you're gonna do that? All right, we got this though. We got this though. You see this there? Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
So
And
try.
by the way, we'll put Laner in net tonight.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? You
Maybe
know?
maybe he's just like sort of changing it up for the players too. They play a different way with Laner and kind
Well,
of keeping
in
their
Vegas, right? In Vegas, you know what the rule is in Vegas, right? The house always wins.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. If Laner's good, like if he's on the right mindset, he's absolutely
Yeah.
almost unstoppable. But sometimes he can get off his game mentally, and then he's not as great. But um, if him going in there does change things up for me a little bit, but not. I still like him. Um, it was really surprising to see Fleury let in. I think it was like three of the first six shots, and one of them in
Yeah, it
particular.
was. It was
One of
three
them in
goals. Yeah.
one of them in particular, he let out a really bad rebound, and then uh, he did like what's his name? Saturday Night Live Fever split action going on. I don't know what he was little
This is
disco
the
thing going on, man.
second game that he's kind of laid an egg with against Minnesota. Because during the regular season there, towards the end of the season, when he was in and playing against Minnesota, and they won that game, but he let in the first three shots,
Hmm.
right? In the first period. Like it was 3-0 first period. Like, whoa, wait a second. Now Minnesota was able to come back and win that game 4-3
Hmm.
or 5-3 or whatever the case. I think actually that game was 6-3. But see, that's the thing. If you let in those goals, can't be letting in them goals because you can't necessarily count on Vegas's juggernaut offense to carry you through. I'm being tongue in cheek because Vegas doesn't have a juggernaut offense.
But
they have they have enough offense to win the game.
well, I don't know. Alex Tuck when he's on is almost unstoppable. Stone, they got a lot, especially if Pacioretty was in. Vegas is horrible. And yeah, Vegas does have a tough time in Minnesota though. In the past, they've had a difficult time in Minnesota, but I don't think that's happening this.
Exactly. So not at least not for this particular situation here. Right, and I think they removed the one thing that could have been an issue, which is going to be Flurry, which is why I think that we're seeing Laner in tonight.
Yeah, something I don't know what was going on there with Fleury that game. He was looking like his old in Pittsburgh. Remember, he went through like one or two playoffs when he was just trying to figure it out, where he was flopping all over the place and stuff, trying to do
Yeah,
too much and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff like that. So they
he
must,
doesn't need to do that.
yeah, they must have saw something or whatever. I just hope he's not injured because I want
Yeah, that.
Fleury in perfect condition for that Colorado series. If, assuming they beat Minnesota, which I am assuming. Um, I want him in pro. I don't want anything in that series to have be like an injury screwed it up. You know?
I'm with you. I don't. I really don't. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the
Yeah,
case.
like if Grubauer went down, that'd be brutal.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah,
Because man, that
I don't
let's
want
not talk.
any.
Let's change the subject. Hey, how
Yeah,
about those Mets?
I don't want any
How
injuries
about those
ruining that
Mets?
series.
How about them Mets? Yeah, let's change the subject quick because we don't want to talk about that. No, 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 no. I don't think that Minnesota's going to have enough left in the tank. I think it's going to be over tonight. They had a good run. They played really well. We didn't think they were going to necessarily make the playoffs this year, and they did. They played their butts off. Hats off to them. Congratulations. Great season. See you next year. 4-2.
Okay,
4-2.
42 Vegas. We have two wild and two Vegas now. Devondre took the wild. No, we have two Vegas and one wild. I'm gonna go.
Uh, I think.
I got 5-3 Vegas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure John is streaming tonight for the Pittsburgh Islanders game.
I talked you into Vegas. Okay. Yeah, is he? He streams every night in the playoffs pretty
Yeah,
much.
no, but he's streaming the Pittsburgh Islanders tonight. Yeah. No, Bill, I will not be. Sorry, I will not be on that stream. Sorry, I had to be on the stream with him though when Boston won the series. I had to be on that one. And if he does any of the Vegas, which I'm sure he's going to do, the Colorado series, I'll be on some of those because Colorado is definitely the team that I have picked this year. They're not a sleeper team for me this year.
Yeah, I gotta get a couple in there too. I gotta get into a couple too. Uh, which teams will get knocked out tonight? Uh, I think just Minnesota, but that's what we have anyways. I think Florida's gonna win.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
and
think.
maybe Pittsburgh. That's right. Pittsburgh could
Yeah,
win.
because I think we picked the Islanders to finish it off. So Pittsburgh might be done tonight, and Minnesota might be done tonight. But I
Okay.
think Florida's going to win.
Okay, since we have 15 minutes left, let's just say Pittsburgh is out tonight because that's probably the most interesting team in the off season. What they're are they ever going to do a rebuild? I mean, they got Hextall there. Pittsburgh loses in the first round this this year.
Again.
Do they go?
Well, actually, they lost in the preliminary round
Last year.
last year. They didn't even make it to the playoffs. They didn't even make it out of the preliminary round. They got beat by Montreal.
So do we finally see the time when Pittsburgh starts doing some stuff to get some youth in that lineup and do a rebuild of some kind?
With Hextall there, yeah.
Yeah.
Hextall is all about analytics.
Mhm.
Hextall is all about making sure that he's going to do his due diligence, and he's all about building it from the draft. All you have to do is look at his LA team and then look at the Flyers team.
Yeah.
Okay, the LA team he helped to build that from the draft, and they won 2 cups in 7 years. How you doing? right? He tried to do the same thing in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, Philadelphia was not patient enough, and there was no cups involved in that, right? And well, there was a bunch of other issues going on. When he came to Philadelphia, that team was so strapped financially with salary cap issues and bad contracts, and his hands were tied his first 4 years. And I'm not going to say that he didn't make some good moves, and I'm not going to say that he didn't make some bad moves, because he did. Did he draft some good players? Sure. Did he draft some bad ones? Sure. You know what I mean? But now that he's in Pittsburgh, he's going to build through the draft. That's what he does. That's what his MO is, right? He's going to probably start hoarding defensemen and goaltenders and things that Pittsburgh hasn't heard of in a long time. What? Hoarding players? Are you kidding? Hoarding draft picks? What? How's that going to work? You know? I think we're going to see one of the big ones leave Pittsburgh after this season. It's not going to be Sydney.
No, not yet.
I don't think he's ever going to leave, dude. He's going to retire a Penguin.
Well, I don't know why people say that. I just because he was a champion there and
No,
whatever.
no, that's not why I say that.
Why?
That's not why I say that, because just because you win somewhere doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have that complete and utter loyalty to that particular team. Look at what Peyton Manning did. He won a Super Bowl with Indianapolis and said, "Oh, you don't want me? All right, I'll go to Denver and win a Super Bowl there." All right. Look what Tom Brady did. He won 6 Super Bowls in New England. "Oh, you don't want me? All right, I'll go to Tampa Bay and win a Super Bowl there." What? Right? So I don't think it's that. But what I do think is this. When Sidney Crosby came into the league, Mario Lemieux was just starting to own the team and was being part of the ownership. He was part of the group of people that picked him to come to Pittsburgh. You feeling me on that? And when Crosby came into the league, came into Pittsburgh, he got off the plane and hopped into the limo with Lemieux and stayed at Lemieux's house for the first 2 years he was in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Lived in Lemieux's house.
Okay.
Now, I drove by that house a few times on the way to the ice rink there in Bethel Park, and that house sold for $6.9 million.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the fact that he came in with Lemieux, under Lemieux's wing, Lemieux basically mentored him and everything like that. That's why I don't think Crosby's going anywhere. And in fact, when Crosby does retire, he's going to join Lemieux either in the front office or coach or something.
Oh, I think
He
will
is
too.
always going to be associated with Pittsburgh. There's no way I see Crosby going anywhere else. He has nothing to prove. He's won how many cups with Pittsburgh, right? He doesn't have anything to prove. We already know he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, he doesn't need to go anywhere to win anything, is what I'm trying to tell you.
No, but Crosby didn't get to where Crosby is without the competitive nature that Crosby is. It completely depends on what this retool is. If things fall apart on this retool, and this team is the bottom of the league, and he's looking up going, "I am never going to see another freaking playoff game."
And I think he retires.
No, I don't think so.
I do.
I don't think so. I don't think so. This guy's way too. As long as his thirst for competitiveness is there, I think he will. He would go. It's possible that Crosby could go somewhere else. I think it's very possible.
Anything is possible.
Mostly because of especially guys like Crosby that have that type of competitive fire to want to win all the time, and it's just retire. How old is he now? 33, 34? Is he 33, 34, something like that?
I think he's 35.
Is he 35? He's probably got 4 good years left in him, somewhere around there. So
I think he's gonna be 35, or he is 35, or something like that. You know what I mean? Something like that,
God,
right?
there's a guy that could retire is Rask.
Because
He's
he's been in the league. Crosby's been in the league now for, I think 18 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
He has nothing to prove. He's on the decline, clearly.
Look at
I mean, he's playing better defensively. He's playing a better all-around game, but he's not that prolific scorer and guy that he was 5 years ago.
mhm.
Not the same player,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So he's able to continue to play at a high level even though he's lost a step. Okay. So that just goes to show you the level of talent that this guy has. I'm not taking anything away from that. All I'm saying is that I don't think he's going to play anywhere else but Pittsburgh. I don't think he's going to wear another sweater.
I I I wouldn't say that. I when the reason why I say that is there's a competitive urge that are in these players like Crosby that it goes beyond loyalty to an organization. It goes beyond all of those sort of
Okay.
things like that. It
All
goes
right.
beyond all what other people's logic may
Okay.
be about where
All
they're at.
bets are off. All bets are off. Crosby's moving. Where's he going? Who's going to
What?
afford him? Who can afford
Well,
Crosby? Where's he going?
somebody
Where's
would
he going?
definitely.
Then
Okay.
where?
Oh, like if it was happening now, which I don't think it would, because they're going to see what this retool were to happen. So, but like
So now, so
for
wait, hold on.
funsies, for
Wait,
funsies,
wait. So for funsies, you're saying this isn't even going to happen for 2 to 3 more years, right?
that's right. And
All right.
he may be
Oh,
a
hold
third
on.
line
Time out.
center at that
Hold
time.
on.
Yeah,
Time out. Hold on. So we're not even talking about now where Crosby's still scoring 20 goals a year. So in 2 or 3 more years from now, he might only be scoring 15 or 16 goals a year. Okay. He's going to be older. He's going to be closer to 40. He's going to be a little bit slower. Now you're still trying to tell me that
maybe.
he's going to command $6, $7, $8 million from somebody else at 35 or 36, 37 years of age.
Let's see where he is. Let's see what his contract looks like before we go on here. I'm going to bring him up here. We'll see what his points were. He was almost a point a game player this year, wasn't he?
I don't know. He had like 22, 23 goals or something like that. And
Pretty good for almost a 35 to 40 goal pace. Let's see. On an 82 game schedule, he had, well, what am I talking about? He had 62 points in 55 games. He would have had almost 40 goals and 90 some points. And he is 33, by the way.
okay.
So give it, he's got
So
a,
in 3 years, he's going to be 36.
probably still a point a game player, I would imagine.
Okay.
Close to.
Even if he is still a point a game player, that's probably 35 goals and 50 odd assists.
Maybe a point a game player. Yeah, something like that. Still very valuable in the league, no doubt about that.
Not saying that at all. Not saying that at all. But at that age, do you think he's still going to be at that level?
I think
I
he
don't.
could be
I
a
don't.
70 to 80 point player at 36 years old. I think he very well could be, yes. He's
Okay.
that.
If he is, then he can command the $6 million, $7 million a
Oh,
year.
yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
okay,
I forgot to look at his contract, too.
right. Then I could see that. Okay, but as we get older and it gets harder and harder to come back from injuries and stuff, and this is actually the first time in what 2 years now that
He's
Crosby
getting
hasn't missed.
he's getting 8 million for the next 4 years.
So that puts him at 37.
Yeah. Now, assuming that we said, let's say 3 years away, he would only have in 3 years he would only have 2 years left at $8 million per. If he's still sitting around close to a point a game with all the cups he's had and stuff like that, there would definitely be people interested in his services. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
There's not going to be any doubt about that. It's just whether or not he's going to either hang it up or decide to go play somewhere else.
Yeah, I just think the guys with that kind of competitive edge and that kind of compete can very much do that. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying that I could definitely see it.
If we were talking about like next season, then I could consider it. But if you're talking to 3 years down the road, man, I just have a hard time. That's 3 more years playing for Pittsburgh. Now he's 3 years older. You know what I mean? The whole 9 yards. That to me, if he finishes out that contract in Pittsburgh, he's going to retire.
And here's the next part. Here's the next part. And I know we're getting close to time here, but here's the next part. It's how good is Pittsburgh really going to be? First of all, if they don't get another goaltender, as somebody mentioned in here, and what's Jari getting? Jari is, or Jari gets better. I mean, Jari, there was a lot of high hopes for Jari. That's asking. That's a big if though.
It
Um,
didn't happen this year. I mean, he did play better this year, but I mean, has seriously dropped off in the playoffs. I mean, hasn't looked all that great there in the playoffs. I mean,
Rutherford, who is not a guy that rebuilds at all, he left because he was going to trade Chris Letang for Dunn in St. Louis. So
okay.
and they wouldn't let him do it. So they're holding on, trying to think that this lineup that they have here is going to get them to the promised land. Jari is 3 more years at 3.5 million. Okay, that's not killer. You can probably find a way to trade that off.
Does Carter still have term?
Does
Does
Carter?
Jeff Carter does Jeff Carter still have term on his contract?
Jeff Carter. Yeah, he's got 2 more years, but it's reasonable, and because it was bought out, they covered the contract,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
so he'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I wanted to find out.
I think that
So
if they're going to do anything, they're going to do one. They're going to load up the gun one more time, and I would not be surprised next year if Fleury's back with the Penguins again.
that's an interesting way to look at it. So let me throw this out here. I know we're past time here, but
Mm-hmm.
if Pittsburgh wins another cup in between now and the end of Crosby's contract, does he still go somewhere else?
Oh no, no, no. I'm
Okay.
saying that things crumble and fall apart, and
I know.
because Malkin's getting up there, he's injured a lot. They got Gunsel, but besides that, it's kind of a pop gun offense. The defense is CC Matheson. There's nothing here that screams we're going to win a cup anytime soon. You know what I mean?
No.
Like they're going to have to go again with Hail Marys, and I think one of those Hail Marys will be Flurry next year, and hope the heck he can keep it together, and maybe come back. Vegas holds some of his contract back, and him and Jari can give her a go next year or something like that. They got to reach for a Hail Mary here with this lineup. And then after that's over, somewhere along the
Yeah.
line, you got to realize, okay, we're not winning any more cups. So what are we doing
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks.
I
All
think,
right, man.
do I think they'll let Rask retire and move on to Swayman? It's up to Rask. It'll be totally up to Rask.
Yeah, but Swayman's a good second fiddle to come in there and take over.
Yeah,
So
I think they would want Rask to come back one more year for sure.
yeah,
But if he wants to retire, it's probably not the end of the world to them either.
right, because of Swayman.
Yeah.
So all right, everybody. Man, we did a little bit more than the full 42 this today, didn't we?
Well, I've only got 42, so
All right.
it had to
Well,
be
well
42.
so your 42 and my 42 comes to 84.
84. They gave you a
So we
full
gave it the
84.
full 84 today.
I turned into Rest in Peace Van Winkle. Michael Irish.
Oh,
All right. Bring all your
thanks
friends.
everybody for
Bring all
joining
your friends
us.
tomorrow. We're missing a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. So if you're in the chat, remind them to come in. We'll have ourselves a little group hug together, and we'll get back and talking about our picks and everything tomorrow and all the games that happen. But we got to get out of here because that is definitely our full 42. So we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 3 to 5. Thanks for coming in, Michael Irish, and everybody for this fine programming. Have a great day. Okay, bye.